Greetings, beautiful viewers. This is Smitten. Welcome to How to Fail at Smite, my original Smite series where I pick up a new god for the first time and poke fun at how I play so that both of us can learn from my mistakes. Episode 7, Poseidon. In this episode, I encountered a conquest queue with a team full of viewers. Much to my surprise and fangirldom, we were paired up against the dominant presence of none other than Root Gaming. I saw Allied was present, however, and felt confident this one was in the bag. Now for Poseidon's abilities. His passive is Changing Tides. Basic attacks increase the tide level, and once the tide level is full, it deals an additional 20% damage and increases movement speed by up to 20%. Because of this, you don't need to worry about buying boots as your first item, unless you're Smitten. His number 1 is Tidal Surge. Pretending to be Ra, he launches a wave in a line, causing magical damage plus 70% of your magical power and pushes back all enemies in its path. His number 2 is Trident. This adds 2 additional attacks to his basic attacks, dealing magical damage plus 20% of his magical power, and increases his movement speed by 15 to 35%. Use this to fill your time level quickly. Items that can proc, like Polynomicon, will only proc off the center shot. His number 3 is Whirlpool, a crippling ability that prevents enemy gods from using movement abilities while pulling them towards the center and dealing magical damage, plus 15% of his magical power. And finally, his ultimate is Release the Kraken! One of the most satisfying ultimates in the game for fans of pirates. It deals magical damage plus 30% of your magical power, with a 30% slow and a 1 to 2 second stun if your enemy is in the center when it goes off. Chapter 1. I didn't mean it! Initially I thought I'd be going mid, but it turns out Freya felt more up to the challenge, and not wanting to solo Derby, I didn't fight her for it, and quickly ran to right lane after we'd collected the speed buff. Herc and I are up against Shing and Anatoly, and we're left wondering how all out they may go. Eager to test the waters, Herc moves forward and I line up my Tidal Surge, smacking those boys to show them that I mean business. I then lay down my Whirlpool and Hercules misses with his Earthbreaker before landing his Driving Strike, only to find himself outgunned by Berserker's Barrage, while Sobek pins him to the wall before he can make a narrow escape. My Tidal Wave seems enough to drive them back for a moment. In left lane, Lassiz goes down, no doubt due to Allied's inability to support him. I kid. It was definitely Allied's fault. And I drop my Whirlpool behind Shing and Anatoly needlessly as we have no ability to engage them. We pace back and forth looking for an opening, which will never arrive, and I attempt to get a hit in with Tidal Surge. Hercules is open to Anatoly's charge prey and finds himself launched into the air, landing in Shing's well-timed Berserker's Barrage, and I begin to recognize why these guys are one of the most terrifying pro teams in Smite. That hit with Mjolnir's attunement doesn't do enough to kill me or smarten me up, and the pair falls back to their next pack of minions with me in a hot, albeit ill-advised pursuit. And as they get into position, I think the best way to snag an advantage is to taunt, but Anatoly has other ideas and charges me down as well, and I get a taste of the same combo that so successfully brought down Herc, but I have an Aegis. Shing patiently waits for it to end before smacking me with that hammer. When I said go easy, I meant all of you, not just Allied. Chapter 2. Stunning Engagement. Herc and I have both returned to right lane to find Shing and Anatoly missing. We literally have no idea where they may be and begin to get worried. Unlike the pros, we have no wards in the jungle to provide any vision, and I'm sure at this point they do. Without any information, I consider my options. Should I farm or do something stupid? Well, the choice seems obvious, and I dash off into the jungle to make the least of my early opportunity. Cutting through the jungle, I head towards mid. It seems I get some justification in my choice as Shing and Ares have rotated mid. Being the supportive type, I zigzag through the jungle trying to get to an advantageous position to engage. But being the Smitten type, that probably won't happen. I see Shing standing by our tower, and what do? Miss with my Whirlpool, of course, as Ares charges forth. We suddenly feel a lot more confident as Shing and the Derpster fall back towards their tower, and I unleash a Tidal Surge onto their minions. Shing reminds me what a mistake that was and stuns me with Tectonic Rift before Derby places Noxious Fumes right before Meteor hits for the stun and gives me no other option but to fall to Berserker's Barrage. Chapter 3. Pro enough for me. Having had ample time to lick my wounds and let it sink in that I'm not the initiator in this group, I return to right lane to see Shing and Anatoly trying to steal the cooldown buff from our Freya. Hercules joins her as it seems they were successful in pushing the two back, but Anatoly returns to snag the buff. Seeing this subterfuge, I think about giving chase to hunt down this buff-munching scallywag, but cooler heads prevail and I return to my lane. At this point in the game, Root has already been very active in clearing the jungle camps, and their only real competition for them this game has been Freya. Not only have they been effective at killing us, they constantly leave the lane after taking a kill and clearing the wave to go farm the jungle or gank one of my allies. It's brutally effective, and you can see the level advantage they've already gained, not to mention the as of yet unseen gold advantage. At this point, I begin to feel like I should probably call MIA and right, only to find that I can't control my fingers and panic to cancel it. At last, success! With my team alerted, I toss down my whirlpool. I catch a glimpse of lightning flaring about in the jungle, and I back up to watch Thor hover in the air above me. My attempts at juking do no good as he comes crashing down on me with the stun. Hercules charges in with driving strike just as Sobek tosses me back to charge prey. Time for the Aegis. As it wears off, I immediately release the Kraken on my assailants and flee down the lane, forgetting all about my Trident speed buff and casually coast to safety. Shing is an aggressive pursuer and he pops sprint, but luckily my Kraken gave him enough of a pause to allow me to escape and back away unhindered. So, top 5 place? Chapter 4. Here, fishy, fishy, fishy. We get back in right lane when I see the Bildred himself coming from the jungle lane again. I place a whirlpool at the entrance and it keeps him in the jungle, but it doesn't keep him from any of the experience. It doesn't phase Anatoly one bit as he just waits patiently while the pool goes down. Something is wrong with this picture, and I can't quite place my finger on it yet. Could it be that left lane just got evaporated beneath Allied and Lassise? I call out the MIA and right and cautiously make my way forward and ready my 3 as I struggle to anticipate Tully's movements. When I finally park the ability, the sight of my teammate running away transfers onto me, and I immediately turn around and start booking it for no reason. Then I catch sight of my minimap and see that Shing is in mid and decide that we could probably take Anatoly while he's solo. Once we are greeted by our minions, we partially swallow our doubt of survival and move down lane. Tully's dancing to and fro behind his minions, which means he's planning something, but I just see it as excitement and push forward, taking the bait. Seeing Anatoly by himself gives me the morale boost I need before Shing shows up to crash the party. Tully swings around his dying archers and Shing comes flying out of the jungle to hammer me with the same combo again. Despite my successful 3 and 4 combo, I fall again to Shing. Chapter 5. Not one step back. With my ego still somehow intact, I drive up the lane as my team is systematically devoured at our blue buff. If you watch the minimap, Freya considers taking the 3-on-1 fight before trying to flee from the death trap. And off in the woodlands, a brief visage of reptilian danger slithers through the trees, but I think I was too busy consoling my comrades to notice. To the minimap we go once again as Freya enters the middle lane only to be strangled to death by Thor's mighty beard! What can I do in this situation but boost morale with the mighty woohoo? A surrender vote goes down and I reject it outright and taunt Anatoly rather than retreating as one should do when it's 2 versus 5. Rather predictably at this point, it's time to display my decision-making skills as loyal Hercules follows suit against his better judgment. Dear viewers, if you get into a game with me, following my lead might not always be in your best interest. We barely squared off against Sobek when Allied and Shing make their leisurely entrance and finish me off. Besides calling you out, what did I do to deserve this? Chapter 6. Who needs steroids? Never fear, beautiful viewers, Smitten doesn't lose hope while playing Smite. Forever the optimist, I return to harass my defilers. Anatoly and Shing are missing and can't be seen on the minimap, but despite this we make an audacious push for the tower. My plan is rudely interrupted by the Earthbreaker animation and swing around to receive a tail whip, and when I struggle to escape, Tully tosses me back into the tower and I lay down another pool as I rout from the field. I look over my shoulder to make sure I'm still being chased. I see Sobek creeping up on me and I ponder dropping my ult instead of just using my trident, but right before I feel the jaws clamp down I use Aegis instead. Tully gives me a push in the right direction and I release the Kraken! Followed by the pool, and despite being hunted down, I still don't use my 2 for the speed buff. And just when I think I'm safe, I'm stunned, and with a good smack of Shing's hammer, I'm down again. Chapter 7. That's far enough! On a serious note, the speed and cooldown reduction buffs are excellent on Poseidon. With the full tidal meter and trident active, he's already ridiculously fast. The speed buff complements that well and gives him a really strong ability to wander the map. If he's in capable hands, that is. Laugh along with me as my item choice leaves me doing practically no damage, and I'm more concerned with not using my abilities than trying to defend or counterattack anything. With the surrender vote up, I don't seem so confident as I only decline as I back to base. Returning triumphant and too broke to buy anything, I put that speed buff to good use and charge directly into my opponents who are in the process of sacking our left phoenix. Shing seems to know me and greets me with a tectonic rift and Mjolnir's might across my head before blinking towards me as Anatoly tosses me away. Not today, Shing, no! His Berserker's Barrage! Why couldn't someone else kill me? Whatever, at least my team arrives to avenge me. There goes my hero, watch as she kills Shing. And then immediately dies to Allied. Her death is followed by a near miss on Herc's Excavate, while Neith is actually doing a great job pushing Lass and Jerb from the fight, leaving Allied and Anatoly to contend with Ares and Hercules next to the Minotaur. I can imagine Allied wanting, "No, plea! I love you, plea!" before he hops across the wall, never being in any real danger, just dramatic. Chapter 8. So fluffy! I decided that rotating is a good idea, and thus I ventured forth into the hinterlands known as the mid lane, and as Ares and I square off against minions, Hercules is set upon by deviants near the gold camp. I don't notice this by looking at the minimap. I pick up on his rapidly declining health and attempt to rush to his aid. It takes me a moment to notice I can't resurrect the dead, and in a moment of clarity I decide it's not a good idea to push forward when their entire team is to my left. However, Neith and Ares decide they'd like to try their hand at necromancy, and we all know resurrections require a blood sacrifice. And in an attempt to look impressive, I display my comboing abilities as an act of intimidation rather than the correct use as damaging crowd control on our clustered opponents. But if they were there, I would have made them look mighty foolish. Ares wisely escaped the jungle, but Freya was cut off, and Ching wasted his ult as Ally picked up the kill before he could land, saving me from total embarrassment. It turns out blood sacrifices don't appease the blood god.
It's okay though, this was for science!
As Root dissipates into the wilds, it's safe to assume they've either gone after the Gold Fury or trying to bait us into a fight there. It seems Neith is the only one to assume they're headed for Gold Fury and starts to head off in that general direction, while Ares and I stay in mid to push back the creep while ignoring the fact that our left Phoenix is down and the fire minions are almost in our base. It's time to finish these minions by missing the Cyclopi with my tidal wave and then proceed to burn down the one that remains with my embarrassingly weak basic attacks. Forget objectives and team coordination.
The Cyclops is gonna die!
Or not, it's time to finally be of some use to my allies and rush to their aid. As I flee away from Anatolia, I make sure I take the most dangerous route possible, but at least I didn't let him peel me away from the team fight. As I ran the corner, I'm almost surprised to see Xing, but I hit him with my tidal wave while he misses with his stun. Tully's on the ball though and gets me with his charge spray, and what do you know? I'm dead again. After a long 20 minutes of taking brutal beatings from the professionals, I finally give in to the surrender. Good game and well played to my team of beautiful viewers, and of course a good game and well played to Root Gaming. Something I thought was pretty impressive on both my part and Xing's, he managed to kill me 6 out of the 7 times that I died. This is a game that was recorded 2 weeks ago, and it was my first encounter with any pro team. I was so nervous to talk to them that I had actually deleted several of my lobby messages, only to find out that Lassise had actually tweeted about my channel without me knowing that he did. This video has been delayed because we lost the original audio and didn't record any of the game sounds, but luckily we were up against the pros and we were able to go in and see the replay. As for my thoughts on Poseidon, like all mages, he's really squishy, but I'm not sure what it is about him, but he makes me yearn to dive into the deep end of situations. Something about him makes me feel overconfident. Personally, I think he has a lot of potential for me, as I seem to work well with mages, and might be a guy to really try to get some experience with in the future. So be sure to check back for any updates on him. His abilities were a little different when it comes to my playstyle, but if I stop being so rigid, I know I could shine with Poseidon, especially after picking Lionheart's Brain. I think it might be his passive changing tides that causes me the most trouble with Poseidon. I haven't trained myself to watch the meter, so my damage output really fluctuates. Not only that, but I found myself unable to really get a hold of my movement speed, which is also affected by the tidal meter. As far as what to level and when, his number 1 ability, Tidal Wave, should be max 2nd. It's multifunctional and useful for clearing waves and dishing out some significant burst. It's not as crucial to his overall role as some of his other skills, but we'll get to those shortly. His number 2 ability should be maxed out last if you're wanting to fill your tide meter or have the extra movement speed for an escape. Toss a point into this at level 4, but if you feel comfortable, there are better places to spend those early points. Unlike myself, remember to use this! Xing took me down a few more times than he should have given the situation, all because I couldn't remember to press 2. His number 3 ability, Whirlpool, is part of what makes Poseidon a great pick for just about any team. Max this bad boy first and place it well, and your team will be clamoring for you to accept their friend requests. It's so strong of an ability that I suggest building your core around it. It cripples and pulls enemies towards the center. Combo this with your crack and you got some serious damage on a group of enemies whose only chance of escape is an Aegis. This is also a wonderful tool to clear waves or buff camps with. His ultimate, Release the Kraken, should be leveled whenever possible. Though, there is something interesting that you can do when you level. If your Kraken is on cooldown and you don't think you'll need or have it again before your next level, go ahead and spend the point elsewhere on something that you can use right then, rather than something you'll be able to use eventually. Item builds should be handled based on the situation of the game you're currently in, but this is a decent outline of what to go for if the match is going well. Lionheart suggests that your core build be Vampiric Shroud, to give you plenty of early game sustain, then Boots of the Magi for obvious reasons, the magical power, penetration, and mana on top of the movement speed. The last piece of your core is Gem of Isolation. It will help keep enemies in your whirlpool and slow them with all your other abilities. In this game, for some unknown reason, I bought Hide Nemean Lion. I can't remember even touching Poseidon before this video, and when I saw I was up against Root, I just kinda panicked. No excuses though, terrible choice. For your 4th item, Rana Tahuti is an excellent choice. Follow that up with an Obsidian Shard, or vice versa depending on if they're stacking magical protection. After that, there's some interesting options you can go into. If you're up against a lot of physical damage, pick up Book of Thoth, sell off your Vampiric Shroud, and then get the Breastplate of Valor. Book of Thoth gives you 3% of your maximum mana as magical power, while the Breastplate of Valor gives you additional mana, physical protection, and some excellent cooldown reduction. These items synergize really well and give you some survivability without sacrificing much in the way of damage output. If you don't want to get Book of Thoth, pick up Polynomicon instead. Poseidon can really fly around the map if you play him well, and he can be great for both teamfights and counterattacks. Nothing like a few Polynomicon procs to help take down an enemy tower, Phoenix, or God. If you're up against Magical, I prefer Polynomicon and Voidstone. And if you find yourself facing Magical and Physical, Wall of Absolution and Voidstone. Simple. Just remember that item builds aren't something you follow to a T. They're something you adapt to depending upon your enemies and the situation you're facing. No one build will work in every situation. You should always be looking for ways to adapt your plays so you can stay ahead of the curve. If we tickled your fancy, make sure to rate and subscribe for upcoming videos. You can also come hang out with us on our Facebook page. Link in the description. Feel free to leave your thoughts on how to play this god as well as any feedback you have for us below. I'm Smitten, and see you next time.
Good game. Bye.